Hey, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Tifflers,
the podcast where we talk about the books that we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands and drink about them.
And today we are talking about Adam and Eva by Sandra Kitt.
Now, this was the first African-American romance, as in, like, by a black author about a black couple.
Yes.
So, by Harlequin. There were others before, but not by, the series romance companies. But before we get to that, we should apologize for ourselves. This is not our day. We lost part of our last podcast. We were supposed to do Silver Angel at the end of this month. We did do it.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was probably our best ever, I bet. Like, just because
we're just going to tell you it was our best. We were the funniest we've ever been.
Yeah.
It was aces.
So we had to reconstruct it. So this is like when T.E. Lawrence left, like, the 7 Pillars of Wisdom in a cab. It's like that.
It's exactly
so
like
we're
that.
not at our best today. And we're going to just flip these. We're going to put this one on today, and then the next one will be Silver Angel. We'll catch up with you with that in February. So for this book, the rapeometer is at 0 again. There is no sexual assault. There is no sexual violence. There
is a mention of child death and the loss of a husband, if that's something that you're not interested in reading about. But it happens in the past.
Yeah, so it's a woman with a tragic past.
So.
But yeah, otherwise it is completely, totally fine, and you have no worries about reading this one. We are drinking, what are we drinking?
We're super original and just drinking Bacardi Gold because this book takes place in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we're just having some rum today.
Yep, we're just drinking rum because we're tired and we lost an entire podcast.
And they drink a lot of rum drinks.
Yeah,
but I'm not making a pina colada.
And we did not get this one from Morganelli's.
No, we did not. We got it from up the street.
Morganelli's. So how's your resolutions going, fuckers?
Morganelli's. We didn't buy our drinks from you today. So again, this book was written by Sandra Kitt. And Sandra Kitt is a woman kind of after Sarah and I's own hearts. She was, before becoming an author, a librarian. She actually worked in an astronomy library, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. She got to hear talks by Carl Sagan, which is super cool.
Yes.
So she wrote books in her spare time. And one day, she was based in New York. One day she saw an article in the New York Times where Harlequin was starting this new kind of subset books. And she contacted that editor, and within a week sold 2 of her books, and that kind of got her started.
So awesome.
I know, super cool.
Very cool.
All right, so again, Adam and Eva, published in 1985. This is the official description. When Eva Duncan flees to the Virgin Islands to heal from the double tragedy that took the lives of her husband and young daughter, she meets the most remarkably self-possessed little girl on the plane. Her father is just as irresistible. If only he weren't so bossy and overbearing. Still recovering from the pain of his recent divorce, Adam Maxwell is reluctant to open his heart to another woman. Then he starts spending time with his daughter's new friend in this tropical Eden, and Adam's burgeoning desire has the single dad yearning to be a family again. To have and to hold Eva in his arms forever.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it. The end.
Yeah,
podcast ever.
This book is just like a kind of, it's nice.
Nobody
gets tortured to death.
I know.
Which is hard for me now. I think
I feel like we have a little bit of like book Stockholm syndrome in that, like, if a book doesn't have something clearly insane happening, I don't know how to react.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what to do with myself. So, okay, Adam and Eva. The book starts off with Eva on a plane, and she's sitting next to this little girl. Eva is the legal secretary from Philadelphia, and she has a 6-week vacation. She's going to St. John. She flies into St. Thomas, but then goes to St. John. Her boss has a house there.
Yeah.
And he's letting her just use it. And then
all these people have such nice bosses in these books.
Amazing bosses. And then she's like, I did like that they explained how she could finance it, because she was talking about how she subleased her house.
Yeah. It was, all of this was actually very realistic. This book is like probably the most realistic. This could happen to you.
They explain things. So on the plane, she's a nervous flyer, and this little girl is like, "Hey, lady, relax." And they get to talking, and she finds out this little girl named Diane, and she's visiting her father for 2 weeks. She is, I think, from New York.
Yeah.
And she goes down 2 weeks a year to go and stay with her father, who lives in St. John's. He's a marine biologist.
the world's shittiest marine biologist.
So Eva kind of takes a liking to Diane immediately because she reminds her of her daughter who passed away. So Eva lost her husband and her little girl, who was about Diane's age.
In a fire.
Yeah, around 2 years ago. And, like, Eva, I think, was, like, calling 911 while the father was trying to get to the daughter, and they didn't make it out. So when they land, she meets Adam, who's super surly.
And by the way, we should say that I think because they have to make the title kind of pun work. The man's name is Adam, but nobody calls him Adam the whole goddamn book. They call him Maxwell.
It was very confusing to me. I was like, who's Maxwell? What's happening?
And she even, she nicknames him. She calls him Max sometimes. Like,
I know. It was very strange.
So you don't get confused. Yes, Maxwell and Adam are the same person.
She meets Adam Maxwell. He's kind of a dick to her. She's like, fine, I'm not going to see you again. So she gets into a cab with the world's, like, only polite cab driver in any kind of nation like this. Like,
well, okay, so my dad, of course, he's a man, not a single woman, but whenever we used to go on trips, my mom and I would go and tour stuff, and my dad would go meet a cab driver, and then he would, like, acquire his new best friend, the cab driver, and they would, like, go around all day
just doing
stuff.
Yeah,
and my dad would, like, correspond with them later.
That's
so,
crazy.
Yeah, my dad would meet these cab drivers, but I think it's very different because this is a woman alone in a country, or not a country, but a territory that she's never been to before,
right.
And she doesn't know, like, any of the local customs or anything, and I'm like, oh my god, this man is going to put her in a variety of
I was always so
bags.
nervous about it. I was like, she's going to get stolen, but she doesn't get stolen. Everything works out. So she meets Deacon, the world's nicest cab driver, who's driving her around, and he kind of acts, in addition to being nice and kind of driving a story along, he's kind of our info dump guy. Like, he's telling us about the island and how St. Thomas is the party island and St. John is the quieter island. He tells her about an upcoming carnival that she should go to, all this kind of stuff.
And he's hitting on her, but in an acceptable way.
Not a gross way. So Eva gets to the house. There's a housekeeper that's very sweet and, shows her what's what. And then she finds out that Maxwell, we'll call him Maxwell, guys. Maxwell and Diane are her next door neighbors.
They're a little bit down the road. They're like half a mile down the road, but she doesn't have any, like, direct neighbors.
They're her next door neighbors.
Herself.
Like, yeah, they're her neighbors. It's bananas. Like, so, ooh, coincidence.
This actually, the sense of place in this book is really good. I kind of felt like I understood what these houses look like, and
I know. So she spends the first few days, like, living her best life. She's going and sitting on the beach. She's reading. I love that they kept talking about her paperbacks that she read.
She's reading romance novels, which, by the way, Maxwell's a little dick about.
Yeah, she's reading her romance novels. She's eating some crackers for lunch. And she would, like, while she's sitting at the beach, she's watching Diane and Maxwell get in and off and on this boat. And I don't think she knows what Maxwell does at the time, so she's just like...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Remember.
It doesn't matter. So she's watching them, and then one of these days, like in that week, she sees Maxwell and Diane and this other woman. And Diane sees Eva and wants to hang out with her. She doesn't want to go on the boat.
Yeah, like she obviously does not really care for this other woman hanging out with her dad.
Right, yeah, so... Eva says that's fine, and they spend the day together. Now, they go, at the end of the day, Maxwell's not back yet, so she takes Diane back to Diane's house, which is a bachelor pad, and then this woman just starts cleaning.
Yeah, like, she'll clean anybody's goddamn house. I think it's a territorial dominance thing.
It was insane. Like, she just starts cleaning
I don't think it's like a domestic thing. I think that it's, like, literally, like, just her peeing on the corners. She's like, I'll show you, bitch. And
so Maxwell comes home and is appropriately like, hey, why are you touching my stuff? Like, what are you doing? This is weird. And she's like, you need to... And the one thing I don't like about Eva is that, like, she has known this man all of 12 minutes. Yes. And, like, she's like, you need to be a better father. And I was like, whoa, like, get to know a person first before you start in on somebody's
You don't know anything about their
situation.
Style. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so she goes in on him, and he gives her the business back, which she deserves.
Yep.
So they don't have they have a little bit of a frosty relationship. So the really kind of relationship drive force with them is Diane.
Yeah. And Diane really wants Eva to come hang out with them on the boat.
Yes.
And so they do.
Yeah, so there's, So, yeah, they go on, she goes on the boat with them one day, and again, he's a marine biologist, and it's a terrible marine biologist, so it's her and Adam Maxwell, and Diane. Eva's not a very strong swimmer. He teaches her how to swim and takes her snorkeling. You know,
it's kind of sexy.
It is. It gets her out of her comfort zone. Diane, of course, is like fearless and just doing all these things, and then Diane gets like steps on a sea urchin, and that's kind of
almost drowns. Like it is actually. There's kind of some real peril in there.
Yeah, he's like giving her mouth to mouth and stuff.
Yeah, it's a little upsetting, but So in other words, she's become a much bigger part of this family, and then she has a little bit more room to talk to him about. Yeah,
and so we find out that the woman that Adam was with is a woman named Lavana.
And this is not a misunderstanding. They are totally fucking.
And they basically have, like, an agreement. They're friends with benefits. And Eva's like, you shouldn't be bringing this lady that you're just banging around your kid. Which, appropriate. Appropriate. So, the day after Diane steps on the sea urchin, Eva's going to go see her, but Lavana's there and says, oh, she's sleeping. I'll tell her you stop by.
But she's all sexy in the doorway.
Yeah,
she's all leaning in the door with her tits, just being tits and stuff. Yeah, it's you know what's going on. It's very clear.
And so
what's happening?
Eva's like, I got the day. I'll just go over to St. Thomas and hang out. Where she meets Deacon, the cab driver, again.
Well, no. She only meets him after, so she does a lot of shopping. She goes around, and then she's like, oh shit, I lost my wallet.
Right, and then Deacon
shit.
Deacon just magically appears, and it's like, you don't need your wallet. I'll just take you around. And I was like, here it comes. Yeah, here it comes.
Variety of garbage bags. They'll never find the head.
Yes, exactly. No, but that's exactly what he does. He takes her around. Very nice. They have a nice day.
He shows her like the native side of the island, where the people who live there actually go,
and all this stuff. And he's like, oh, we're having carnival next week. You should come. And she's like, okay, that sounds fun. So she comes back to St. John's, goes the next day to see Diane, who's in a little bit of a snit. And she's like, what's up with you? And Diane's like, you were going to come see me yesterday. And she's like, I did. So that's when
Tits McGee was at the door.
That's when they all find out that, Lavana is duplicitous. So that kind of puts Lavana out of the picture for a while. So her and Maxwell get closer. They eventually bang it out.
Well,
do they go to the carnival first?
I don't. This is just like relatively nice people doing nice things, so it's hard for us to kind of pin it in our heads. She does wear at one point this amazing outfit of pink walking shorts, a lilac blouse, etc. And then they end up in a clinch like in the alley by his house, and he starts to try to Roger her, and she has to explain that it's a skirt.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
A skirt issue.
Welcome to the 80s. But,
she had some baller outfits. So they finally bang it out.
But he never gets nice, I didn't think. I mean, honestly, this guy he's one of those extremely brusque guys.
Yeah, he is very brusque.
Yeah, and he never, really stops being like that. Just like, we'll talk about that later, but.
Yeah. So they're banging it out, doing things. They go to the carnival.
Yeah, and then they go, they're just doing stuff all around the island. Like, she goes on the boat with him a lot.
They go to a parade. They're spending time together.
Yeah, touristy stuff and not touristy stuff. He's taking her to, old plantations that are now nice restaurants. And doing, not very nice stuff, undoing the knot on her, it's not a sarong. It's what are those kind of
island wrap dresses?
Yeah, island wrap. So in other words, her titties are out.
Yeah,
and it's in public. It's just at night, and didn't care for that.
So Diane eventually, after 2 weeks, Diane leaves, and her and Eva are gonna write letters. They're pen pals. It's very sweet. But Eva and Adam are continuing their thing, getting closer. Adam goes away for
a week.
Comes back inexplicably injured.
It makes no sense. It's only because, to give them that he's hurt and she has to doctor him scene.
Yeah, so she doctors him.
And they bang it out again.
They bang it out. So she catches feelings, and he makes it pretty clear, that he's just down for, or the way that he presents it is that he's just down for banging.
Yeah.
That he doesn't want another relationship. That
she knows that she's going home, and he knows that she's going home.
Yeah, so he goes out of town again for a couple days, and she straight up goes.
Yeah,
she just leaves. She just leaves the island.
Goes home.
Yeah, she goes home. And she's staying with her mom.
Yeah, she's applying to law schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, okay, well that was.
I mean, she's
sad, but
she
she's
got
like
some
okay.
ambition fucked
Yeah,
into her.
yeah. She got her groove back and on.
Yeah. So, and then
sometimes you need that.
Adam just shows up at the door, and her mom's all like, "Who this?"
And then her mom's like, "I'm gonna go out and I don't know, do that important errand."
Yeah, and so he's like, "Yo, why'd you leave?" And she's like, "Well, you didn't want much." And he was like, "I love you." And she was like, "Okay." And
then we hear all about his ex-wife and all, which does not explain anything.
No. So, and then they
he finds out about, like, her dead husband and son. Like, she doesn't tell people, which I understand. Because then it's a thing, right? But so, like, somebody her wallet gets returned to her with the
and
pictures
he saw the
in
pictures of the family. Yeah, and he gets all
really
mad.
Yeah.
He knew about the dead husband, but he didn't know about the dead daughter. And
he might have known well, I don't know.
No, he
didn't.
He never mentioned. No, he knew that his husband died. And because he was all like, "Has a man ever felt, did your husband make you feel this way?" I was like, "Come on, man. Talk about a dead
her
guy."
husband was a perfectly nice guy,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like an earthquake.
He just didn't have baller energy, I guess.
I don't know. Big dick energy is what the young people say. I'm informed.
So yes, he gets mad at her about the daughter.
He's just always mad all the time.
I was like, not, hey, I'm so sorry.
He never really had a face turn. He was just always a dick.
So they end up together happily ever after.
And he's willing to move, which I think is, like, you can't really be the same kind of marine biologist in D.C. as you can in the Virgin Islands.
So maybe he's going to work at the aquarium. I don't know.
No, he's working for, like, Department of I forget what. He's got, like, a military friend, and she's going to go to Howard. Yeah, for her law school degree. Yeah.
So this was a super short book, so that's why our plot is short. And again, like, lot of the scenes are just her outfits, which are kind of amazing. Her sitting on the beach, them having like a pina colada.
She's got two bathing suits, and one of them is tangerine and one of them is black. And I know that they're both adorable, but either the author or the editor confused the word spandex with the word latex, and if she was wearing a latex bathing suit, I would love for that to be true, but I don't think that it is. I don't think she's wearing fetish gear on the beach.
So
there's a great image.
Oh my god, it was bananas. So, okay. So that is our description. Alright, to our questions. Okay. Number 1, the bastard to bay ratio.
I never really thought because he was one of those guys who's supposed to be all bruff.
He was super hairy. That's the one thing that we find out about him is like
all these dudes are super hairy.
He's really big, so like I'm imagining like a super built guy, and he's hairy, like he's straight up. That's all she talks. Like the really descriptive thing that we get about him is that he's hairy.
Yes.
But yeah, you don't really ever see any tenderness with him, like not with Diane,
eventually you do. And okay, the one thing I really liked about this guy is that I thought that his parenting issues were real because he's been divorced from his wife, and his job does make him work in this place. It's far away, and so he only sees his daughter once a year. And he's having that experience of like she's like a stranger every year, and like his daughter really
getting to know.
He needs like the truth that Eva is about to lay down on him about kids. But it's like it feels realistic, and I really did feel that the love for him for his daughter just didn't know how to interact with his increasingly old child, and
he kind of. The description of him a little bit, like the way that he dressed and stuff, was kind of like the Old Spice guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's always, like, with a shirt unbuttoned to his navel. Again, the chest hair is out.
Like a topiary.
So, he was fine. He's not, like, one of my favorites. On, like, a scale of, like, a 1 to 10. On our 1 to 10 scale, I'd probably put him at, like, a 5.
Yeah.
Like, he was just sort of, like, there. Like,
I mean, he didn't torture anybody to death like some people I could mention.
This is true. This is true. So,
you know.
Okay, so again, he's fine. Again, I put him, because I like to rate him low. Like a 5.
Leave a little room. And I agree. I put him at a 5. He did not really do it for me a ton.
Yeah. So, question 1.5, the Bechdel to bitch ratio.
There were great women friendships in this. Like, not only her relationship with Diane, but there were other women in this. Like, she went to, I forget how she knew this woman. Maybe it was somebody else who worked with her.
It was the housekeeper.
Was it the housekeeper? She went to her house, which was very, like a real... like a local house. It was small. It was, and she went to a party there and had like a great time. Yeah. They were not just talking about Adam Maxwell, whatever the hell his name is.
So yeah, it was. I liked that there were other relationships between. Like, it wasn't just her and him. All right. So how racist is it?
Well, that's really interesting because it's not racist at all.
No, it's not racist.
What I thought was fascinating is, and I kept like thinking about the fact, like remember how books back in the day, they would always have that little notice in them that if you bought this book without a cover, it was like declared, it declared a write-off and you bought it illegally. If you bought this book without a cover and you had no reason to know that these were supposed to be African American characters, you could totally miss it. It
is subtle. I think
he mentions at the end that he and his ex-wife are going to be the first black marine biologist pair, and they mention Howard at the very end.
Well, she does describe them, like, but again, like the color, like I think that she does it purposefully, and I think it's very kind of crafty, and like the color descriptions for people are, do acknowledge, someone of color, but also it's not. It's kind of, I think it's purposely ambiguous, like, Eva is caramel or toffee.
She has curls. She has a mop of curls.
Her hair is super cute.
Oh, yeah, you can tell it's just adorable. But, I mean, because obviously she knows what's up, and she knows that she's going to sell the most books if she can be appealing to everyone. And, of course, the issue, like we talked about with the Babysitters Club stuff, that, black experiences are thought by, the publishing company, by the film industry, everybody to be specific, whereas white experiences are thought to be universal.
Right.
So this should, theoretically have been a very black experience of going to the Virgin Islands and, but, Sandra Kitt knows that she wants to sell some books, too.
Yeah. So, again, it is interesting, and I think, again, she made some very deliberate choices. Mm-hmm. Because again, she never really, I don't think that she really shies away from it, but I don't think it's like, again, for like our next book with Beverly Jenkins, where it's kind of, that is a major part of the book.
Yes.
So, alright, so would you mind if someone slapped the heroine?
Yeah, she was so sweet.
She was really sweet, y'all, and
I don't think she could handle a slap like some of these women can.
No, she was like when she was married, she was like chubby, and then she has like the grief diet.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't like realize her own hotness kind of thing.
Which I find really obnoxious.
Yeah, I do find it, yeah. But like she's very kind of twee.
And she's nice. She's just a nice person. And like really, like she ends up going to law school because everybody she tells about her job down here in the Virgin Islands thinks it's really interesting.
Yeah, she really does kind of discover herself and come into her own. Because prior to this, like, before the death of her husband and child, like, she was, I don't even think she worked, really.
They got married young.
Yeah, it was her first, she met him in high school, her first romance, she was a mom, she was a homemaker, and so it's kind of like finding an identity after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages?
The sex was pretty hot.
They do have like hot. Yeah, they do have some pretty good sex. They almost had beach sex, which I'm always like, But they got up and cleaned off and went to the boat. There's a lot of boat sex.
Oh yeah, a lot of boat sex.
A lot of boat sex.
And oh, by the way, there were boats.
There were boats.
You know how I feel about boats.
You love a boat.
I do love a boat. I didn't see anything wrong with the boat stuff. It wasn't very specific, and it was a modern sailboat.
Yes.
It was a sailboat though.
Okay, what is the CW level of authenticity for this book?
I've never been to the Virgin Islands. It seemed plausible.
I think so. The one thing I do have to say is that Adam Maxwell is the world's worst marine biologist.
Like, he has to be told by a guy who doesn't have a degree that he should put his specimens in salt water?
Yes, he's like talking to the guy and he's like, I don't understand why these are dying. And the guy's like, next time put them in salt water. It's like, dude, you are surrounded by salt water. Why would that not be your first thing? Like,
not to mention the word marine in marine biologist.
Jesus Christ. I was like, I was like, Sandra, come on. Did you just I need to write them like a send-out, like an easy thing. Like, this man does not know to put his samples in salt water, y'all. Like, no, that daughter should not be staying with him if he can't figure that out. So, I've been to some of, a few islands. I think she's got the island vibe down,
The houses and all seem really, precisely described.
She's very good at, she's very good with description without being, pages and pages of description.
It's a real sense of place. I quite like that about this book, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How much would you judge your Meemaw for reading this book?
Not at all. This is a sweet
it is a sweet book.
But the guy was just kind of...
He was kind of a
shitty.
All right, and then our last question is, what kind of booze is this book?
Obviously rum.
I think so. I think it's a pina colada.
Oh, yeah. It's like a...
It's nice and frothy and, a little bit of it goes a long way. Like, if you,
Yeah.
like, fill up on it, it's just too sweet.
Yeah, agreed.
So I do think that it is, a pina colada would be a good one for this. So this one was short and sweet, but again,
Yeah, well, it was very interesting to read, like, okay, so you're gonna finally realize that there's a huge untapped market.
Right.
How do you decide to go after it? And so this was the first one that they tried, and it's worth reading just to see.
And I do
what they were
wonder, like, if, like, Terry McMillan's How Stella Got Her Groove Back is, like, a subtle nod to this book. Because they are, I mean, obviously Stella doesn't have, like, I think hers is a divorce, I believe.
I think, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, so it is kind of like, I wonder if it is a little nod, a little nudge, like a little, like...
Of course, men have been having this kind of trope for millennia.
Yeah.
The idea that if you're sad, you go to another warmer place and you fuck somebody.
Yeah. But the similarities, though, like, with it being an island that she goes to and stuff. So, again, I do think Sandra Kitt was very smart in how she wrote this. Mm-hmm. Because, again, she doesn't put a big... Again, it is there, but the emphasis is not so much on race, but the story.
Yeah.
And I think she's like, I'm going to trap some people. I'm going to be like,
yeah,
y'all don't know what you're getting. You're going to buy my book. So...
Like, so I wanted it to be more... And, I mean, I have a friend who did... she followed a man down to the Virgin Islands. And she's African American, and she talks about, what it's like to have come from here, from America, to go somewhere where, like, from being from a minority to a majority, where, like, everybody is black, and, like, where the hair care products are all black, you don't have to go to, like, the special aisle for it, and I mean, like, it's great, but on the other hand, it's not... They're black people from a different culture than your culture, and so maybe it's not all that you expected it to be.
Yeah.
Now I was kind of hoping to get a little bit more of that from this, but no.
Again, that's the other thing.
This is the first one.
You kind of notice again with the Harlequins, which are usually about half the length of non-Harlequin books, because like if you think about it, like the Harlequin books we've been doing like hit around 250, and all these other books are like clocking in at 500 pages.
Which it's a relief to read something so much shorter, but then I'm like, where's the rest of the book?
Yeah, so I think
get used to it, I guess.
They don't really delve into stuff
as
much, so I think that might be part of it.
Yeah, they had to cram a lot of fucking in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fucking.
Yeah,
and a lot of chest hair description. A lot of chest hair description.
A lot of walking shorts.
Walking shorts. She had some really like outfits that I was like, damn, that's cute. I would wear the shit out of that because like her colors were on point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She had great color sense. I really, I liked it
because I like a color, so I liked her outfits, even her pink walking shorts, and I feel like she had like a little walking hat on with it.
Oh
too.
God, yes. It was 1985.
So many
much less.
So many outfits that were outstanding. So overall, I thought it was a fun book.
Yeah.
Our next book that we're going to be talking about will probably be a much longer podcast because it's a longer book and crazy things happening.
Yes,
too. Like not crazy, but there's
not like we're used to, but yeah. So we're going out of our usual time zone, I guess, because we can't talk about Black romance without talking about Beverly Jenkins.
Yes. So our next one is going to be Beverly Jenkins' Night Song.
Actually, for you, the next one will probably be Silver Angel, which we have to reconstruct.
Yes, that's what we're going to be doing next, probably. So.
Sorry about that. But soon, you should go ahead and start reading Night Song.
Night Song will be, somewhere in February.
Yes.
Somewhere. All right.
All right, y'all. Peace out.